There is a reason Chinese families quietly build wealth across generations while others struggle to hold on to it. Their success comes from habits, discipline, and a mindset that begins long before money ever arrives. Most people think wealth is about income, investments, or luck. But in Chinese culture, wealth begins with mentality, the belief that money is a tool, not a trophy. In many societies, people use money to show status, buy recognition, or feel important. But Chinese families treat money as something sacred, something strategic, something meant to secure the future. They don't chase applause or attention. They chase stability, security, and options for the next generation. When income rises, they don't upgrade lifestyles immediately. They upgrade their savings, their investments, and their long-term plans. Saving is not optional. It's a cultural law. From childhood, they learn to save first, spend later, and spend wisely. Many households save 30%, 40%, sometimes even 50% of their income. Not because they are wealthy, but because they are disciplined. These habits force financial strength over time. Every saved dollar becomes a seed for the future instead of a momentary pleasure. Delayed gratification isn't a challenge for them, it's a way of life. They understand that sacrificing today creates abundance tomorrow. But beyond saving, what really builds their wealth is long-term thinking. They don't plan for 5 years ahead, they plan for 50. Buying a home isn't just for personal comfort. It's for the stability of children, grandchildren, and the future family line. Every decision is measured against the future, not the present. They ask, will this strengthen the family long term? Education is treated like the ultimate investment, not a cost, not a burden, but a lifelong asset that elevates everyone connected to it. Parents push children to study because they know knowledge compounds. Skills increase earning power, and earning power creates generational security. A child's success is seen as a family victory because one educated child can lift an entire bloodline. But the most powerful wealth habit is collective economics. While many cultures promote individual financial independence at 18, Chinese families build together. Money moves within the family like a support system. Parents help children, children help parents, siblings help each other rise. One person's success becomes fuel for everyone else. The family functions like an economic engine, stronger together than apart. You'll often see families pooling money to buy property, or launching businesses together to reduce risk and increase opportunity. They remove the financial obstacles that many people face alone. No one carries the burden by themselves. Everyone contributes to the climb. This collective approach creates generational acceleration. Instead of starting from zero every generation, each one begins from a higher level. Another powerful habit is their attitude toward debt. Debt isn't a convenience, it's a threat. Many Chinese families avoid high-interest loans unless absolutely necessary. They believe debt steals freedom, and freedom is priceless. They prefer saving for years rather than paying interest for decades. This discipline prevents the financial wounds that trap many families. When debt exists, they eliminate it aggressively, because long-term stability requires cutting financial chains early. Now combine everything: disciplined saving, long-term thinking, collective strength, and minimal debt. You get a family structure that becomes financially unshakable. But the quiet habit that ties everything together is education about money itself. Children learn early what adults in other cultures learn too late. They learn the value of saving. They learn how to manage money, invest it, and respect it. They learn not to waste, not to overspend, and not to chase appearance over substance. Wealth becomes a natural outcome of disciplined behavior, not a lucky accident. And most importantly, they learn responsibility. The responsibility to carry the family name forward with wisdom, stability, and strength. This is why Chinese families rise generation after generation. They don't rely on miracles. They rely on intentional habits. They don't hope wealth comes to them. They build it carefully, patiently, consistently, brick by brick, decision by decision, year after year. Now that you understand the foundation of the Chinese wealth mindset, you're ready for the habits themselves, the psychology, the behavioral patterns, and the real-world strategies that create multi-generational prosperity. These habits are powerful because they are simple, and they work anywhere, for anyone, when applied consistently. If you understand them, you can use them, and if you use them, your entire financial future can change. The first major habit that shapes Chinese generational wealth is disciplined saving, but the way they save is different from most of the world. They don't save whatever is left over. They save first, spend second, and eliminate unnecessary costs without hesitation. For many families, saving is not an act of willpower. It is an expectation, a cultural standard, something woven into daily life like breathing. Children grow up watching parents stretch every dollar with precision. They learn early that money has a purpose, and waste has consequences. Instead of emotional spending, they practice intentional spending. Every purchase is questioned, evaluated, and measured against long-term goals. Even wealthy families often choose simple lifestyles. They buy quality, but they don't buy loud. They prioritize durability over decoration. This is where quiet frugality becomes one of their strongest wealth-building weapons. They understand that small leaks sink big ships, so they plug every leak early. Rather than chasing trends, they invest in essentials. Rather than showing off upgrades, they show up for their responsibilities. But frugality is only half the equation. The other half is understanding the power of assets, especially real estate. Property ownership carries deep cultural significance. It represents stability, belonging, legacy, and financial security for the entire family. While many people think short-term, Chinese families think generationally. They buy property not just for themselves, but for the future generations who will inherit it. Real estate becomes the anchor of the family's wealth. Not something to flip quickly, but something to hold, nurture, and pass down. Each generation usually adds one more property. Slowly, the family portfolio grows from 1 home to 3, then 5, then 10. This approach transforms even modest families into quiet property dynasties over time, not because they chased fast money, but because they embraced patience. They also understand something vital. Land and property rarely vanish. They remain, appreciate, and provide income long after the original buyer is gone. But property isn't the only asset the family values. They also prioritize businesses, especially family-owned ones. Across the world, you'll find Chinese-owned shops, restaurants, markets, and companies. These aren't just businesses. They are family machines designed to create long-term income. A small store becomes a stable foundation. A stable foundation becomes multiple stores, then rental units, then investments. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle. Businesses fund properties. Properties fund more businesses. Generational wealth grows from 2 streams into 5, then into a network. Another powerful habit is the willingness to start small. Chinese families don't wait for perfect conditions before building wealth. If they need to start with a tiny store, they start. If they need to work long hours, they work. They value progress more than perfection. And because they start early, they accumulate more over time. This habit explains why so many immigrant families succeed. They are not afraid of sacrifice because they see sacrifice as investment. Long hours aren't viewed as suffering. They are viewed as stepping stones to a stronger life for their children. Speaking of children, one of the biggest generational habits is collective responsibility. When one family member succeeds, that success becomes fuel for everyone. A child who graduates becomes the pride and support of the family. Their income helps parents, siblings, and even cousins rise. Rather than independence, they practice interdependence. The family lives together, rises together, and protects each other. This creates a financial safety net that most individuals don't have. If someone fails, the family catches them. If someone wins, the family shares the victory. Collective wealth builds faster because the burden is shared. No one is drowning alone. The family becomes the life jacket. But behind this unity is another powerful habit: communication about money. While many families avoid talking about finances, Chinese families often discuss it openly. They talk about saving strategies. They talk about business opportunities. They talk about which investments make sense and which traps to avoid. They talk about what they want to leave behind when they're gone. This transparency prevents generational mistakes. The knowledge doesn't die with the elders, it flows downward. Because information is shared, every generation starts where the last one ended. They don't begin from zero, they begin from accumulated wisdom. At the core of all these habits is the belief that success is a group project, not an individual achievement. No one rises alone because no one is meant to rise alone. The family becomes a team with a shared mission. And when a team plays the long game with discipline, they become unstoppable. This is why one generation sacrifices comforts, so the next generation can enjoy stability, and the generation after that can build wealth. Generational wealth doesn't happen by accident. It happens through intentional habits repeated again and again. Whether a family is poor or rich doesn't matter. What matters is the mindset that guides their decisions. The Chinese approach to wealth is slow, steady, and strategic. It prioritizes security over excitement and legacy over luxury. And because of that mindset, even small beginnings can lead to enormous outcomes. Because consistency compounds, and families that think in decades always win over families that think in days. One of the most powerful secrets behind Chinese generational wealth is emotional discipline. They understand that money responds to calm thinking, not emotional reactions. Where many people spend impulsively when stressed or excited, Chinese families are trained to pause. They ask themselves whether a desire is temporary or if the benefit is long-term. This emotional separation from money is a quiet superpower. It allows them to avoid financial traps that damage entire generations. They don't buy to feel better, and they don't spend to impress anyone. They spend when it benefits the family's future, not their immediate feelings. Another powerful psychological habit is humility. In Chinese culture, showing off is considered childish and unnecessary. Even wealthy families often avoid flashy cars, expensive clothes, or attention-seeking lifestyles. They would rather be underestimated than exposed. Humility protects wealth by eliminating unnecessary spending. It also protects the family from jealousy, envy, and unnecessary social pressure. Staying low-key gives them freedom. They are free from comparison, free from unrealistic expectations, free from performance. Humility also creates safety. A quiet family attracts less judgment and fewer financial predators. They understand a simple truth. When you look rich, people take from you. When you look normal, you get to keep your wealth and grow it quietly. Another psychological advantage is their relationship with sacrifice. Many cultures see sacrifice as suffering, but Chinese families see it as investment. Working long hours, saving aggressively, and avoiding luxuries is not viewed negatively. It's seen as planting seeds for a stronger future. Sacrifice is not punishment. It's strategy. It's choosing what matters most over what feels good right now. Parents often work extremely hard so their children won't have to struggle the same way, and children see this sacrifice firsthand, shaping their mindset permanently. This creates a cycle of gratitude and responsibility. Each generation carries the weight with pride, knowing they are building something bigger. Another powerful psychological habit is community thinking. They understand the value of networks, relationships, and collective progress. Chinese communities around the world support each other through loans, partnerships, and referrals. New immigrants often find opportunity because someone from the community gives them a chance. They don't view other people's success as a threat. They see it as proof that the path is possible for them too. When a community celebrates success together, everyone rises faster. When they share knowledge, no one stays stuck at the bottom. This community mindset is a wealth multiplier. It increases opportunities, lowers risks, and strengthens every family within it. Another deep psychological principle is resilience. Chinese families are trained to endure hardship without breaking. Hard work is normal. Difficulty is expected. They don't panic during financial storms. They adapt, adjust, and shift strategies without giving up. This stability under pressure prevents emotional financial decisions. It keeps the family grounded while others collapse under stress. Because they expect life to be difficult, they are mentally prepared for challenges. And preparation creates power, emotional, financial, and generational. Another key mindset is the ability to think in cycles rather than events. They don't see money as something that comes once. They see it as something that flows. If income is low, they improve skills to increase it. If the economy drops, they wait for the cycle to rise again. This long-term cyclical vision prevents panic during downturns. They don't sell assets in fear. They accumulate them. They buy when things are cheap. They hold when things are uncertain. This alone separates wealthy families from those who lose money due to emotional decisions. The ability to stay calm during chaos is a deep cultural strength. Another powerful habit is strategic patience. Chinese families don't rush to get rich. They rush to get stable. Wealth built slowly lasts longer. Wealth built quickly collapses under pressure. They understand that time is one of the most loyal partners in wealth creation, and patience is the bridge between dreams and results. Because they think in decades, they are unbothered by minor setbacks. A slow year doesn't scare them because the vision stretches far beyond 12 months. This patience allows them to hold investments longer, save more consistently, and avoid shortcuts. Shortcuts often look attractive, but lead to long-term losses. Another important psychological principle is responsibility. Every family member plays a role in the financial future. Children help with the family business. Parents support education and career development. Everyone contributes to the mission. No one is left drifting without direction or purpose. Responsibility creates discipline, and discipline creates momentum. Momentum compounds into generational wealth. They also practice something many cultures struggle with: financial honesty within the family. Parents tell the truth about money, struggles, debts, and goals. This honesty prevents surprises. It ensures the next generation doesn't repeat mistakes. Many families collapse because each generation hides financial problems, but Chinese families protect wealth by exposing the truth early. Another strong mindset is gratitude for opportunity. They understand that every privilege, education, stability, business was earned by someone before them. Gratitude keeps them humble. Humility keeps them disciplined. Discipline keeps them wealthy, and wealth keeps the family stable for decades to come. Psychology shapes money more than math, and this deep, disciplined mindset is the backbone of Chinese generational wealth. One of the greatest habits that fuels Chinese generational wealth is teaching children about money early. They don't wait until adulthood to explain saving, investing, and responsibility. The lessons begin in childhood. Kids are taught to handle small amounts of money, often through red envelopes on special occasions. But these envelopes aren't just gifts, they are lessons disguised as tradition. Children learn to save a portion, sometimes all of it. They learn that money is not for instant pleasure, but for long-term purpose. This early exposure creates financial maturity long before their peers develop it. By adulthood, they already understand discipline, sacrifice, and smart decision-making. Because they learn young, they avoid the common mistakes that cost others decades of progress. They enter adulthood ahead, not behind. Another powerful habit is the strategic use of family roles. Every person, from grandparents to children, plays a part in the family's economic ecosystem. Grandparents often provide childcare, freeing parents to work more or save on expenses. Parents invest in education and opportunities that elevate the next generation. Children grow up understanding they are part of something bigger than themselves. They know their achievements help uplift the entire family. This structure creates generational momentum. Each person's contribution compounds into long-term advancement for everyone. Another habit is reinvesting success back into the family. When someone earns more instead of distancing themselves, they strengthen the family foundation. They help parents pay off debt. They help siblings pursue education. They support cousins, aunts, and uncles in starting businesses or buying homes. Success is shared, not hoarded. This keeps the family united and financially stable. And economic unity always accelerates wealth. Another major factor is diversification. Chinese families rarely rely on a single income source. If they have jobs, they build side businesses. If they have one property, they save for a second. This multi-stream approach protects them from economic shocks. If one stream slows, the others keep the family stable. Over time, these small expansions create huge results. A side business becomes a family enterprise. One rental becomes several. They understand that diversification is security, and security provides peace, resilience, and long-term prosperity. Another wealth-building habit is financial caution. Chinese families avoid high-risk investments unless they fully understand them. They don't gamble with the future. They make conservative decisions that prioritize stability over excitement. This prevents the catastrophic losses many families experience. Slow growth is perfectly acceptable, as long as it's steady and consistent. Another powerful habit is generational memory. They remember the sacrifices made by elders and honor the struggles that shaped the family. This memory creates motivation. It fuels responsibility, discipline, and commitment. When you know your grandparents crossed oceans, worked long nights, or lived with nothing, you don't waste opportunities. You don't disrespect their sacrifice by living irresponsibly. Generational memory becomes a silent force. It keeps the family grounded, grateful, and focused on building, not consuming. Another key habit is inheritance planning, not just financially, but structurally. Many Chinese families have a clear vision of who will inherit what and who will manage what. They don't leave their wealth to chance or conflict. They create order early to prevent chaos later. This planning ensures the next generation receives direction, not confusion. Wealth doesn't get lost in arguments, it gets passed down smoothly. Another foundational habit is skill stacking. Families encourage children to learn multiple skills, languages, and competencies. They understand the world changes quickly. The more skills you have, the harder it is to be financially cornered. Skills create income streams. Skills open global opportunities. Skills create independence in any economy. And independence leads to stability, no matter what the world looks like. Another powerful habit is long-term financial planning. They think decades ahead, preparing for events far beyond the present moment. They plan for retirement early. They plan for education early. They plan for business transitions early. And they plan for generational transitions before it's too late. This planning prevents crises. It protects the family during unpredictable times. Chinese families rarely enter emergencies without backup plans. They have savings, networks, and strategies ready long before they are needed. Another key habit is maintaining strong family values. Respect, discipline, unity, and responsibility form the backbone of their financial success. Values decide financial behavior. Values determine whether money grows or disappears. When a family shares the same values, they share the same vision. And when they share the same vision, they build the same future. Generational wealth isn't built in silence. It's built in alignment. And alignment is a cultural strength. They protect at all costs. The final habit is simple, but incredibly powerful. They keep wealth quiet. They avoid flaunting, boasting, or advertising their success. Staying invisible protects them from envy, pressure, and unnecessary attention. It allows them to grow safely, peacefully, and consistently. Quiet wealth is stable wealth. Loud wealth attracts danger, overspending, and distraction. By staying humble and low-key, they keep their priorities in order, and their priorities point toward the future, not temporary gratification. All these habits, discipline, unity, frugality, planning, patience, humility, and early education work together like gears in a powerful machine. A machine that keeps growing, generation after generation. Chinese generational wealth is not magic. It is a collection of deliberate habits repeated consistently over decades. It is built by ordinary families who choose extraordinary discipline. By households who think beyond themselves and into the future, and by people who understand that wealth is a responsibility, not a luxury, a legacy, not a trophy.